from the NR Sports Show. This is episode 938. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Jonathan Wells. He's a former Ohio State Buckeyes running back. He also played for the Houston Texans, Indianapolis Colts. He's the all-time rushing leader in Ohio State history. I'm really looking forward to this interview. And Jonathan, obviously now after your career, you're big into fitness, health and fitness, helping the youth out, the people. And I know I've noticed that you're big into yoga, so we'll get into that also. But first, I just want to say thank you for joining the show, Jonathan. It's truly an honor. And how are you and your family doing today?
Doing well. Appreciate it. I got to correct you. I'm definitely not Ohio State's all-time leading rusher in history. That's not true, but it's all good. When I left, I was number 10 on the list when I left school. But yeah, I'm definitely not the number one leading rusher in Ohio State history.
Yeah, sorry about that. But so I want to start off with your childhood growing up. Obviously, you grew up in Louisiana, and what was that like growing up as a kid there? Who would you say your biggest role model was that you looked up to while growing up, and when did you get interested in the game of football?
Growing up in New Orleans, it was great. It was filled with a lot of joy, also a lot of sadness, a lot of pain. When I was 7 years old, my older brother committed suicide in my home. So I kind of got off on a tragic foot. No 7-year-old child should have to deal with that type of tragedy with a sibling. But those were the cards that I was dealt. But after that, I actually got right into what I would consider what saved my life was the game of football and sports in general. I started playing football at 7 years old, played basketball, ran track, played baseball. So I was pretty much all season long. I was able to take that pain and those trials and tribulations and turn it into something active, which was sports, which allowed me to be as aggressive as I wanted to be within the rules of the game. And I'm sure that a lot of that pent up aggression and anger that I had as a child, I was able to release that on a football field or playing basketball or whatever. So I definitely think sports was played a huge role in helping me heal from a tragedy like that.
Man, that's crazy. And sorry to hear that. And for you guys, how hard did it? I mean, obviously it's a hard time. And for you, how long did it take you to get over that? And obviously playing the game of football, playing for your brother and playing for your family, that's a big help. But for you, before playing football, how long did it take you guys to just get over that and just move on?
I mean, me as a child, probably, pretty quickly. My parents, probably not so much. My mother's still not over that.
Yeah.
My father, he basically, turned his life around after that incident. He was into some drugs and doing some things of that nature. But, once he loses a son, that kind of gives you a new direction on life. So my father has been clean ever since then. And ultimately went on to become a pastor and change his life. And, my father's always been my biggest role model as far as my family goes. My father just, a very supportive father, been there for me every step of the way, made sure that I was able to go to a better high school than I should have gone to, being able to go to John Curtis Christian School, which was another huge blessing for me, and getting to go to a private school because my father was willing to drive a bus or do whatever he had to do to pay that tuition. Allowed me to go and be exposed to another style of life outside of New Orleans, which at that time was the murder capital of the world. I was losing people, uncles, cousins, friends, losing everybody to gun violence day after day, pretty much, you know what I mean? So I grew up in a very, the 90s in New Orleans was a hectic time, let's be clear. But being able to go to a school like John Curtis, that gave me a little bit of an escape from all the things that were going on in the streets and gave me something to focus on, which was my sports and my education. And I was blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, so tell our fans about your process the first time you got into football. And obviously you're a running back, but did you get to play any other positions while you were in high school growing up?
Like I said, I started playing tackle football at 7 years old. I pretty much knew from the jump that I was special. I was, still pretty much hold some track records in my neighborhood in Jefferson Parish. Some of those records that I had from the late 80s are just now being broken, a couple years ago, and some of them may still stand. So I had speed that was, next level as a kid. And you know, football was great. Being in high school, I played linebacker, as well as I returned punts, I returned kicks. But I definitely played linebackers in big games. You know, we had playoff games, or we had teams that had a challenging offense. I definitely stepped up and played both sides of the ball in high school as well.
Yeah, so obviously, senior year of high school is an important year for athletes. That's when the scholarships come in, and for you as a running back, or what did you learn in senior year of high school to become that better running back and to get the scholarship and go to college? What did you learn from your high school coaches and during senior year?
I was a little bit different, to be honest with you. I started getting offers in 9th and 10th grade. You know, back then you couldn't get official offers, but I was already receiving letters and stuff like that. When I started varsity, I started 3 or 4 games as a freshman in varsity, started my sophomore, junior, and senior year. So pretty much after my sophomore year, I could have went anywhere I wanted to. And I knew that Ohio State was, they didn't even recruit Louisiana, number one. I'm the first player to ever play at Ohio State from the state of Louisiana to get a scholarship to play there. So they didn't recruit there. And it was just crazy how it all, you know, I fell in love with Eddie George in 1995. A lot of people ask me, why would you choose Ohio State coming from Louisiana?
Yeah.
The answer is very simple. It's Eddie George. When I saw Eddie George, 6'3", 235, playing tailback at Ohio State, Orlando Pace, Terry Glenn, Sean Springs, Antoine Winfield, it was a no-brainer for me, you know, because some schools actually recruited me as a linebacker. Oh. LSU recruited me as a linebacker, even though I didn't play much linebacker, but I could have been very good had I focused on that position. But I definitely in my mind wanted to be a running back, and Ohio State had huge running backs, so it was a no-brainer.
I'm just curious, did you ever think to yourself maybe you could have been a hybrid type of player, like a linebacker and a running back, or you were just focused on being a running back?
What, in college?
Yeah, in college game.
Nah, that doesn't happen. You've never seen that before in your life.
Yeah.
Now you may get a cornerback and a wide receiver to do that, but other than that, nobody's playing both ways in college or the NFL.
Yeah. So speaking of your college recruitment process, what was it like when Iowa State gave you an opportunity to come to their campus, look at it, and then to decide from there? And how grateful are you now that you got to play with a great college program in Ohio State in your career?
The recruiting progress was pretty simple. Like I said, I had already made my mind up that I wanted to go there before they even contacted me. And as soon as I put that in my subconscious, all of a sudden I was getting a call. My coach was getting a call from Ohio State. Like I said, they had never recruited Louisiana, or had never gotten a recruit from there. Right. So to me, it was like a God thing. It was meant to be. I was pretty much a Buckeye. In 1995, I was a sophomore in high school. So I was pretty much a Buckeye from my sophomore year all the way into my senior year. When I went to Ohio State, they did not disappoint. I mean, the campus, the stadium, the people, the parties, the women, everything that you go in, that you look for in a college atmosphere, Ohio State was top of the line. So they did not fail me there. I changed my mind probably for like 2 or 3 days. I actually visited North Carolina as well. Oh, wow. They were number 2 in the country that year. They had Julius Peppers and what's the cornerback's name? Dre Bly and stuff like that. So they had a really good team that year. I went there. They had a great visit set up for me. So I came back and wavered for about 2 or 3 days, but then I came back to my senses and went on ahead and committed to Ohio State.
Well, were you surprised that LSU didn't have interest in you?
No, they did. I didn't have interest in them. They wanted me to play. They wanted me to play linebacker, but I was never staying in Louisiana. I was definitely leaving. I did not want to be at home or close to home in college. So that was never LSU, Tulane. They all gave me whatever, but that was never on the table for me to stay at home.
All right. So speaking of Ohio State, tell our fans about their fans, and obviously you just mentioned party, woman, and. Did you have time to party or just focus on football and education? But just tell our fans about the fan base there and playing in high competitive games throughout your career.
I'll say this: Buckeye Nation is probably the most passionate fan base on the planet. I love them and I hate them at the same time, and especially now because we've been on such a winning streak. They're just so non-realistic sometimes. They don't think that these kids should make any mistakes. They shouldn't have any time to grow and mature, and I hate that about them. But other than that, Buckeye Nation is phenomenal, man. When I'm talking about the travel, the way our fans travel, we take over stadiums on the West Coast. We take over stadiums in Arizona. Everywhere we go, we pretty much go and take over people's stadium, you know. So Buckeye Nation was phenomenal. As far as the experience, you know, running out in front of 100,000, you know, we were there to get the renovation to when it went from 98,000 to 105,000 my senior year. So I got to experience the new stadium. The overall experience, man, was it was incredible. The city, the people, how they welcomed me there. You know, it was just amazing. And if I had to choose a school all over again, I would pick Ohio State 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, so speaking of, what do you like about, obviously they're obviously still winning Ohio State in a high level, and what do you like about their history now and the current, the running backs they used to have, like Zeke and J.K. Dobbins, and what do you like about their like growth of it as a team and continuing to compete in a high level?
It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I made the right decision, you know, because there were a lot of teams that were dominating in the late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s that are pretty much have been non-existent for the last 10, 15 years. Yeah. If you look at the Ohio State program, we've maintained finishing in the top 5 literally since I've left college, for the last 20 years. You know, so we've always been right there. We may not have won a championship, but we always win in big bowl games. We always win in 10, 11 games per year. And I consider that incredible because when I was there, my freshman year, we were #1 in the country for 11 weeks and ended up getting upset. And then we ended up #2 in the country. But after that, we fell off a wagon. We fell off a cliff. You know, my next year, we went 6-6. We didn't even make a bowl. Wow. Then, you know, we went 8-3. We had a pretty good team. We lost some tough losses that junior year. And then my senior year was Jim Tressel's first year. We changed coaches. Coach Tressel came in, and we lost a lot of tough games again. We went 7-5. But we did end up beating the team up north, which is Michigan. You probably wouldn't know the team up north, but we don't say Michigan and Ohio State, but I'll say it for you today. The team up north, we ended up beating them for the first time in Michigan in 14 years. We had not won up there since 1987. So we broke that curse. And then from there, we've been 18-2 against those guys since my senior year. So that's the pride that I left the school with.
Yeah. So obviously, before going to the NFL, you were ranked, like you said earlier, you were noticed as the number 10th running back in the rushing list as Ohio State Buckeyes. So how grateful are you to be on that list, number 10th overall, and then having an awesome college career, over 2,000 yards and over 27 touchdowns in your career in college?
My career was good. I think it went well. I look back. The only regret I have, I mean, I worked hard. I did everything I could do. The only regret I have is not being in the 3,000-yard club. I think I'm like 2,400 yards or something like that. That's the only regret that I have. I definitely, I got injured my sophomore year when I had a lot of momentum coming. I got injured in the first game of the season, and that really derailed my sophomore year. Mm-hmm. I didn't get back to form until pretty much the last 3 games of the season with a high ankle sprain. And that really killed a lot of the momentum that I had going. So besides that one injury, man, I did what I could do. I always worked hard. I always took care of business. I never had any trouble off the field. You know, so I'm pretty happy with my career there, but I'm upset I'm not in that 3,000-yard club. Maybe
you can suit up for 1-2 games to get the
Nah, I ain't got nothing. I got nothing for them, bro.
But now tell our fans about your draft process and the combine. Obviously, you got drafted in 2002, round 4, pick 99 by the Houston Texans. But before we get to that, just tell about the draft process. How did it go for you and the combine and all before getting drafted?
I don't regret a lot of decisions. It's 1, 2, 3 decisions that I made that really shortened my NFL career, number one. And the other thing, going in, I would have never went home to train to get ready for the combine. Mm-hmm. I went home to New Orleans to train, you know, got caught up in a lot of partying and just moving around. I finally had some money in my pocket, and I didn't lock in like I should have to get ready and prepare for the draft. I mean, I still had a decent combine. You know, I ran a 4.49 at 233 pounds. But if I had really went somewhere and isolated myself and locked in, I really should have ran a low 4.4, and it probably would have helped me in my draft stock. Other than that, I went to the Senior Bowl, ended up dominating down there, starting the game for the North squad. So I did what I could do, but other than that, other than just not going home to train, I think I did everything that I could do.
Yeah. So so once you got obviously waiting for your name to be called, and once you got your name called by the Houston Texans, what was that like? What the feeling like? You got your goal, got to the NFL, and the Texans giving you a chance to come in and be their running back.
My draft day experience was horrific. I keep it real. I don't have one of those. Oh my God, nah. My draft day experience was horrific. I keep it real. I expected to go within the second and third round. That's really, I really was expecting to go maybe middle of the second, late second, because of the running backs that were in that draft. It didn't happen. So, I had a party at my house. I had the media at my house in my neighborhood in Louisiana, and I didn't get drafted. So you can imagine the shame. It was a humbling experience, to say the least. So I actually went out, got pissy drunk that night, damn near killed myself. Like it was crazy. So when I got the call the next day, I was the first pick of the next day. I was literally in bed, my head under the covers, like just out of it. Wow. And I got the call from Dime Capers, or I don't know if it was him or it was Dime or Charlie Casley. One of them called me. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on, coach, man? Hey, Jonathan, Houston, Texas, you ready to be a Texan? Yes, sir. Whoop, 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 whoop. And got up, got myself together, went back to my house. A couple of the media people came back, but I didn't even invite my family back over. So my draft weekend sucked, to be honest with you. So when I went to the league, I had a big chip on my shoulder because I felt that I had been slighted and that, I should have been drafted higher with some of the backs that were drafted before me. But that's how it goes. You can't control that at the end of the day. So, I got myself together, dust my shoulders off, and went to Houston and went to work, and was able to, eventually win the starting job my rookie year, and ended up starting, 10 games that season. And, it was incredible.
Yeah. So it was Charlie Cassidy that called you in the draft.
Okay.
Yeah. So by the way, it's like, for the most important thing for an athlete is the support system around them. And for you, obviously, your number one is a family. And then the number two, for me, I believe that coaches come second for athletes. So for you, from day one, how grateful are you to have coaches that believed in you in high school, college, and now NFL, and having teams giving you a chance, and obviously having your family as number one as a support system?
Like I said, I have to attribute that all the way back to my high school coach, who became my first mentor outside of my father, J.T. Curtis Jr., he's about 20 games away from becoming the all-time winningest high school football coach in America. We were able to win 27 championships down in Louisiana. I was a part of 3 of those championship teams. So starting with, like I said, the structure and the leadership that I got from J.T. Curtis, it only led to me going. And also I had to give props to another coach, Tommy Moffitt, who's the strength coach right now for LSU. Tommy Moffitt is the greatest strength coach to ever walk the face of the earth when it comes to college football. He's won championships with Miami University. He's won multiple championships with LSU. He is what you will consider the GOAT of strength and conditioning for college football. I was able to be trained by him in 8th and 9th grade before he ended up leaving and actually going to Tennessee and winning a championship as well. So everywhere he's gone, he's won championships as far as college football. So Tommy Moffitt was a part of building me early. I literally gained, between my 8th and 9th grade year, I literally gained 40 pounds of muscle. That's why I was able to start and compete and be able to play as a freshman in varsity, because of the strength and conditioning that I got from Tommy Moffitt. So I cannot leave him out. But J.T. Curtis, John Cooper, I thank John Cooper for coming down to Louisiana and recruiting me and getting me. But Tim Spencer, who was my running back coach, who was another legendary running back from Ohio State, top 5 rushing all times. He was one of the biggest reasons that I chose to go to Ohio State as well. Tim Spencer, his mentorship, his toughness, his leadership was critical. And Jim Tressel. Jim Trust was my guy. I only had him for literally 12 months, but he raised my expectation as a man. He challenged me as a man. He challenged me to learn the tradition of Ohio State and not just be a football player. And Jim Tressel actually changed the culture at Ohio State and was able to win our first championship the next year in 38 years in 2002 when they upset the Miami Hurricanes, who were supposedly the best team in college football history. So shout out to the GOAT, Jim Tressel.
Wow. Yeah. What a story there. And so obviously when you get into Houston, and this is a two-part question, and what was your process to get that starting job as a running back, and what did you do to get that starting job? And the next part, what was it like playing with the quarterback like David Carr?
I did what I did on every level. I worked hard. I always consider myself a hard worker, and I always did extra work. So if there was an extra workout on Friday where we didn't have to be there, I made sure I was there. You know what I mean? So I did the extra work, and I just was a leader. You know, the same greatness I demanded out of myself, I demanded out of my teammates. You know what I mean? So when we got here, they had spent a ton of money on defense because we were an expansion team. It was the first year in the franchise history. So we had a phenomenal defense. Jamie Sharper, Gary Walker, Jay Foreman, Marcus Coleman, Aaron Glenn. We were loaded on defense. Now, with that being said, we ended up having to start 7 rookies on offense.
Wow.
So we ended up getting slaughtered back there. David Carr, we broke the sack record that year. He got sacked over, I think, 70 times or something crazy. You know, so and it's not a slight against the offensive lineman. It's just we were inexperienced. And those NFL defensive coordinators, they knew it, and they brought the house. You know, so it was tough back there. We got pounded. We got banged up. But we were resilient. We were in every game. We was a lot of games that we could have won. We ended up winning 4 games as an expansion team. That was good. And we literally could have won 7 or 8 games that we were right there that we could have won. But that didn't happen. But it was great. Just put the hard work in, and playing with David Carr was great. David Carr was a professional. David Carr was a family man. He came into the league already married with kids out of college. So he was living a different lifestyle than guys like myself, where I was single and I was having fun in the city of Houston. Yeah. So we didn't spend much time outside of the locker room together. But as far as a teammate, I think David Carr was incredible.
Yeah, speaking of Jay Foreman, we had him on the show already. Jay Foreman, he what a great
guy.
Yeah,
my guy. Yeah, you want to talk about a tough SOB. That Jay Foreman, you better pack your lunch if you want to run up in their head and meet that Jay Foreman for sure.
Yeah, I'll send you the interview with him after we're done here. And obviously his father Chuck Foreman played in the league too. So would you say that you looked at? Did you look up to him while he was playing, Chuck Foreman? Did you know about his father?
Didn't even know his dad played in the league. Had no clue. Still no clue.
Yeah, he. You didn't know about that?
No, at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I want to ask you now. What was it like playing in the city of Houston? Obviously, a great franchise. Obviously, they're still growing as a team. But for you, when you were there, what was it like playing in front of those fans in Houston?
The city of Houston was amazing. I can't even describe the amount of support, the amount of enthusiasm, the amount of just love that the city showed us as a new franchise. I hear you're a Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
Obviously, we ended up upsetting them in the first game in franchise history on Sunday Night Football. When I tell you that stadium, I thought the roof in the stadium was going to lift off and take out of there. The shit was incredible, the intensity that was in there that night. In every game therefore. Houston, Texas was a great city. When you want to talk about just living and being a single man, it's hard to find a better city than Houston, Texas back then. So we may have not won a bunch of games, but boy, we won in life. We had a phenomenal time, in the city of Houston showed us big love. So
what would you say your best moment or best game that you had as a Houston Texan in your career?
I mean, it depends. For me, it doesn't really all go about how many yards I got. There's a lot of things that go on out there that I take pride in that nobody talks about. I take pride in chip blocking. I take pride in pass protection. I ended up becoming a special teams captain for my last 3 years here. So, you know, I was all over the place. You know what I mean? I started the 1 year, and then from that point on, I was pretty much a backup / starter of somebody if Dominic Davis went down. I only had 100-yard game, you know, but I came in and saved a couple of games where you might have saw 75 yards on the stat sheet, but I came in and stepped up and made big plays in the second half to win those games. And, you know, so it's stuff like that. You know, my NFL career, it didn't go as planned as far as, you know, yards and all of that stuff. But, you know, I made it, man. It was a great experience just to be there.
To be honest, for me, I don't care about the stats. All that matters when I see an athlete, they worked hard to get where they want to be, which is NFL or wherever, MLB, NBA, whatever sport they want to do. All that matters is that you got there, you work hard, and you stick with the team, and that's what you did. You stuck with the team. You got a chance to start, and you played I mean, to be honest, you had a great career, in my opinion. By work. I don't care about the stats. I just care about the athletes having an awesome story, inspiring story, and working hard every day. So
yeah, and that's something that I'm working on. My wife tells me all the time that I should have more pride and be more excited about what I was able to accomplish. But these fans are brutal, man. You know, if you're not Emmitt Smith, they talk to you like you never accomplished a thing in your life, and that stuff mentally wears on you over time. You know, especially if you didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to accomplish. So I've definitely let people beat me down, beat my confidence down, but I'm getting it back right now. It's all good.
Yeah. So now, obviously, you got to play with the Colts also, but was it tough leaving a team that drafted you?
I didn't pick them. I hate the Colts. I was literally there 5 days. They sold me a pipe dream. I turned down the Miami Dolphins. I had a contract in my hand. All I had to do was take the pen and sign it with the Dolphins, and Nick Saban was the head coach. And the coach sold me a dream. I told Nick Saban no and went up there. They fucking cut me 5 days later. I hate the Colts. I hate them with a passion.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that story. So wait, the Dolphins. So you're supposed to sign with the Dolphins, or Nick? What happened over there?
It's a long story. Well, it's not really a long story how my NFL career got off track because anyway, I ended up missing my whole free agency because of the agent that I chose. He didn't take care of the paperwork, right? So I missed all of that hard work I did for my 4 years. I didn't get to capitalize off of that at all. I didn't get one phone call after I became a free agent from the Texans.
Wow.
Because this guy, my fault, I didn't do my due diligence. He wasn't who he said he was. And me just moving so fast at the time, I didn't do my due diligence. And this guy literally screwed me out of $5, $10, $15 million. I never saw my second contract because of that.
Wow.
But once I found out what was going on, I hired Bus Cook. And as soon as I hired Bus Cook, I started getting calls. That's how I knew it was official. I'm like, I haven't hired Bus Cook for 1 day. I'm already getting calls to come in. Now, mind you, it's the summertime. Now I missed my whole free agency, the whole thing. So I'm literally like I started a record label. I'm not even, I don't know what happened, to be honest with you. I'm like, what the hell? Once I found out what was going on, I got locked back in on football. Last preseason game, the coach called me. Okay, Jay, we want you to come up Sunday. We played against you 8 times. We know what you can do. We need you here to come back up, whoever, whatever. Cool. I'm getting ready to leave. Then my agent calls me like, hey, Miami Dolphins want you to come in. So I'm like, all right, cool. I go to the Dolphins that morning before I go to Indy. So I go there. Nick Saban's the head coach. I kill a workout. He blows the whistle. He like, hey, Jay, he stopped my workout early. Like, come on, we good. Sat me down like this, me and Nick Saban. He like, hey, right now you're my second string running back. It's going to be you and Ronnie Brown. Sammy Morris is getting suspended, for whatever he got going on for the first 4 games. So it's you and Ronnie Brown. Let's go. So I'm thinking in my mind, like, damn, I'm supposed to go to Indy.
Yeah.
So I called my dad, and my dad's like, man, y'all was just 2-14 in Houston, man. Go up there and play with Peyton Manning. Y'all gonna make the playoffs at least. You're gonna go to the playoffs in Indy. And I let that trigger me, and I turned down the Dolphins.
Wow.
and went up there and they cut me 4 days later. I ain't have a shot in here. But I knew it when I got to Indy that they couldn't care less I was there. Tony Dungy didn't talk to me. Peyton Manning didn't talk to me. Nobody talked to me. I called my dad the first night. I'm like, bro, they couldn't care less that I'm here. Mind you, I've never been cut in my life to this point, ever. So I know where I'm wanted and where I'm not. You know what I mean? And he like, nah, you tripping. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, these folks don't care I'm here, bro. Man, and 4 days later, sure enough, gone. Blew my opportunity. Facts.
Yeah. You could have played with a great head coach, and you could have played with the great running back at Ronnie Brown, man.
Well, I could have just got myself back in the system.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who it was, but at least I had a 1 year deal at this point. So I'm gonna do a 1 year deal for $1 million. Cool. All right, but now I get back in the system because mind you, I've been out the whole summer. Yeah. These people don't even know what's going on because dude never turned in my paperwork, so they don't even know how to contact me. The coach ended up calling my mother's house. That's how I found out what was going on. Oh. My mom called me like, Jay, the coach just called and said that you don't have an agent on file. They've been trying to contact you. That's how I found out that the bum never turned in my paperwork.
That's crazy.
Now that's one decision. That's one decision that cost me everything I worked for 27 years. And that's how crazy life is, bro. One bad decision to take your life on a spiraling out of control situation, bro. So that shit, I'm still like getting over that. I'm way better than I used to be, but I was depressed I was in a bad state after how my NFL career ended, bro.
Man, that's a crazy story. And just to piggy off that, tell our fans how important is it for players to have the right agents for them, make sure they do their work and do the right things. And now this shows you need a really good agent to help you guys out with the contract.
It was my ego and pride. Because you know what? Before this guy, I had the best agent in football. I had Joe Siegel. I came into the game with Joe Siegel, who had Mike Vick. He had all first rounders, pretty much. And he took me on as a client. And because of my ego and my pride and not being patient, I fired him after my third year.
Wow.
And I was only a restricted free agent. I wasn't an unrestricted free agent. So I'm thinking he should be doing more. He should be doing this. And he's like, Jay, like, you really don't have a huge market like that, bro. Like, I got you. No. And then, he didn't answer a couple of my phone calls, and I got in my feelings. And I fired him. Had I not fired him, my life is totally different. Like, because I know Joe Siegel would have got me the bag after my fourth year. Yeah. I did everything I needed to do in Houston. Every time they called on me, I balled out. Every time I started, I balled out. Every time special teams, I balled out. I did everything I needed to do to get my second contract, which is if you don't come first or second round, you got to get to that second contract. Right. Or it's over with, pretty much. I did everything I needed to do. I let my ego and my pride get in my way and fired him. And even if I was going to fire him, I should have went with somebody who was on his level, like Bus Cook, because those were the two guys when I was going in. It was either Joel or Bus.
Yeah.
And even if I wanted to fire Joel, cool, call Bus Cook immediately. I wanted to go to a small time guy who's going to supposedly put all the attention on me because of my ego and my pride once again. And I fucking blew it. I blew it for my family. I blew it for my parents. I blew it. I fumbled the ball on fourth and one. I fumbled it. And that shit took me a long time. It took me a long time to get over that.
Man. But now looking back at your career and obviously how grateful are you that you got the chance to play for Ohio State, to play in the league also, and obviously still making your family proud by getting into the league, and how grateful are you to be in this position? And now after your career, now you're helping out other people in health and fitness and yoga too, and yoga also.
It's cool. Like I say, it's bittersweet for me, because the only reason I really played sports was to take care of my parents. Yeah. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, to get there and not put yourself in a position where I can do the things and the dreams and the goals I had for my parents, it's a forever heartbreaking situation, So I'm still chasing that dream, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So now I just have to figure out another way to get it done. Football's not the only way to make millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So I tried the music industry after. I own my own record label.
Oh, wow.
You know, signed a couple of deals, you know, with some of my artists, the major deals and stuff like that. But none of those deals never really panned out on the financial level like I needed it to. So, you know, I'm really still in the middle of my journey, bro. Trying to figure it out and trying to make up for lost time. And at the end of the day, you can't make up for lost time. You know, we 15, 20 years later now, and you blew it at the end of the day. But I'm really just working on myself right now. Mentally, I'm finally at a great stage. I have a great wife. So, you know, I think things went as they should have gone at this point. Now I'm starting to see that maybe that you shouldn't have got a lot of money back then, because the people I was running with, just the lack of awareness, just somebody would have stole it from me anyway. I was too giving.
Yeah. You
know, I wasn't ready for a bunch of money back then. So that's how I cope and deal with, you know, still having the chance to get it done. So it led me to have a great wife, a great family. And right now I'm just like I say, rebuilding myself and just figuring out my next phase of life. And yoga is a huge part of it.
Yep.
I am definitely a huge yogi. Bikram Yoga. I do Bikram Yoga. That's my style, hot yoga. You know, so it's 105 degrees. It helps with all the aches, the pains, the arthritis, you know, the headaches, the memory loss, all the stuff that I deal with from playing the game of football.
Yeah.
This yoga kind of helps me to maintain and feel decent for sure.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously, down the line, maybe in the future, would you consider being a coach in college? Right? No.
No. I have no desire to coach. Too many hours, too much time watching football. I very rarely watch football, to be honest with you. When I got out of the league, I didn't watch the NFL for 10 years straight. Nothing. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to hear about it. I was mad at the NFL. I was mad at the world.
Wow.
But when I sat down and matured and just started to look over the situation, it was all my decisions.
Right.
The NFL didn't do me nothing. The NFL paid me every check right on time. No questions asked. I made bad decisions and ended up out of the NFL before I should have. Had nothing to do with them. So I had to come back, and you know what? That's why now I'm back here in Houston. I'm dealing with the organization with the Texans and just now getting back connected with them. I haven't been a part of the franchise since I left. You know, so now I just moved back to Houston in August to get close to the franchise again, because I am first leading rusher in franchise history, whether you like it or not. My name is in the history books for sure. So why would I not capitalize off of that and take advantage of the hard work that I put in? But it took me a long time to get there. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, man, I'm a work in progress. There's nothing perfect about me, for sure.
Yeah. So speaking of running backs, what do you like about today? If you're watching the game, what do you like about today's running backs, especially in college and the NFL? And who is one or two running backs that you like to watch right now?
I love Nick Chubb. I was living in Cleveland. Nick Chubb is incredible. One of the most underrated running backs in football, period. This guy can do everything. He breaks long runs. His balance is outstanding. He's humble. He's quiet. He runs hard as hell. And anything that you want from a running back, Nick Chubb can give it to you. So Nick Chubb is one of my favorite running backs right now. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott, his production is fall off. I guess they'll say it's fell off, but dude, I love Zeke, obviously. And Derrick Henry, to watch that young man run the football.
Oh my God.
And I consider myself a big back. When I ended up, I was about 245 with Houston. I ended up playing my last year about 245. And he makes me look small, bro. This dude is incredible, the things that he can do at that size with that speed.
Yeah.
No, I was sorry to see him get injured, so hopefully he'll come back and be 100% for sure.
Yeah, he plays like a linebacker playing running back. And
he plays like a defensive end. Like, dude, it's bro. It's crazy.
Speaking of big running backs, I also had Braden Jacobs on the show. He was a big running back. He was on the show too last year. And so what are you concerned? Like, for example, obviously Derrick Henry's showing that he can do it, but Are you concerned with like big running backs now, or do you think it will pan out later?
What do you mean? Excuse me. What do you mean?
Like some of these, like for example, some of these teams don't like to play big running backs, but obviously,
Yeah. You know, that's just a team preference. You know what I mean? Hey, if you can get it done, you can get it done. But there's definitely teams that have certain identities to where they don't like big running backs. So that's all on you to find, you know, to bounce around and find the squad that fits your style, you know, and that's what I had a chance to do that when I left Houston. Now I could have really said, okay, Chicago, Green Bay, these are the type of offense that I like to run. I had a chance to do that. And like I said, with that one slip up, I didn't get a chance to do it. So, yeah.
I got to ask you this. Tell our fans, what was it like meeting Mike Tyson?
I tell you what, man, that was another God situation. We happened to be signing autographs at the same hotel that day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Obviously he was the main attraction, but I was there signing too because it was in Columbus, Ohio. So signing autographs, I get done with my session, and then the guy who brought me there, he was like, "Man, come on, let's go say what's up to Mike." So it's me, it's Michael Doss, you know, All-American defensive back from Ohio State. We were together, and a couple more guys. So we all go, they go, shake his hand, they leave. They go, shake his hand and leave. So I get to him and I'm like, "What's up, champ? Man, it's a pleasure. You know, my name's Jonathan Wells, you know, former running back from Ohio State." He's like, "Man, can I cuss on here? Can I cuss on here?" No.
No, you can.
Yeah. Okay. And he like, this is exactly what he said. He like, "Man, what happened to that bad motherfucker? that from Ohio State? What happened to that bad motherfucker?" I say, you must be talking about Maurice Claret. Yeah. That my man. You tell that motherfucker he saved my life. That's what he tell me in my ear. So when you see that video, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. We're like this, and there's a line of 500 people right here watching this, but right behind us. He's telling me like how Maurice Claret, him seeing an interview of Maurice Claret with Warren Buffett changed his life. He said, "Man, I was drugging. I was thinking about killing myself. I was out of there. And I saw this motherfucker, man, he's on TV with Warren Buffett." He like, "Man, I got to get my shit together." So that's the 5-minute interaction that we're having. So when I leave, Mike Doss like, "Bro, what the hell y'all was talking about like that?" So I tell Doss, and he happens to be Maurice Claret's brother-in-law. So he like, I said, "Man, he was telling me how Claret changed his life and saved his life." So we end up calling Maurice Claret on the spot. I'm like, "Yo, man, Mike Tyson's, you know, up here, dog, giving you big love. You need to get up here." He like, "Man, y'all playing. You stop playing." I'm like, "Bro, come up here right now." He comes up there. We go in the back room with Mike for like 3 hours. It's just us, Mike Tyson. I brought in Ezekiel Elliott's father. I brought him back there with me. Okay. And then we got Pete Rose, who's sitting behind us over here. Wow. The private room. I mean, man, one of the most crazy conversations. I mean, people crying. Like it was like that, bro. It was a top 5. It was a top 5 moment in my life for sure. It was crazy. You want
to know how I found out that you met Mike Tyson? I saw you on your Twitter account. You have a video out there on Twitter, and your reaction after you left. You said, "Wow."
Exactly. That was after that whole conversation I'm telling you about. And I went right to the side and told Doss what happened. And we called Claret. He came up, and we ended up spending 3 more hours with him in the back room, private.
Wow.
Yeah,
man,
that's crazy.
That's my dream interview right there, Mike Tyson.
Dude, Mike is different, man. Love him, but he's different. He's a real. His thought process is real. Yeah, it's different. But I love him. Great guy. Great guy.
Yeah. So hopefully he comes on the show pretty soon. But before we get to the last 2 things, I want to ask you, what's it been like for you sharing your story, your NFL career journey on this platform like this and other podcasts you've been on?
I haven't really. You're probably the first person that heard about that situation with the agent that screwed me. I've never even said that in public. Like I don't even really talk about it, you know. And I don't do a lot of podcasts, which my people are telling me that I need to start doing a lot more podcasts to tell my story. But I've really been in the shell, man, until now. Like I had to get myself together mentally and get my life together before I get out here trying to talk and do all of this type of shit because, you know, like I got to be feeling good within myself before I feel like I can help somebody else.
Wow. Well, I'm honored and grateful that you're to be for my podcast to be the first time for you to share the story. So I'm honored for that.
No doubt. Appreciate it, man. No doubt.
Yeah. So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. You know him, and he's now he's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send it to you and your wife, so you can go check it out.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that'll be dope. Love it.
Yeah, and the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Well, I'll just say this. I'll say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. And if the country doesn't make you feel appreciated, I want you to know that we definitely got big love for you over here on my end. And I know that you're sacrificing a lot. You're not only sacrificing yourself, you're sacrificing your families, especially with this coronavirus stuff going around. So, you know, like I said, man, just I'm praying for you guys. And we definitely need you guys. So thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, well said over there. And that wraps up episode 938 with former Ohio State running back, NFL running back, Jonathan Wells. Go check out his Instagram, Twitter, everything. Go follow him on all social media formats. Man, what a great story, a crazy story, an inspiring story. Go follow him. And I just want to say thank you for joining the show. I really appreciate it. And keep up the great work, Jonathan. We would like to have you back on the show so you can meet the full team.
Cool. One more thing. I got to send you some of my old Snap products.
Oh, okay.
I'll see. Let's let me know where I can send them so you can try them out. But yeah, we definitely got the best liquid supplements on.
Speaking of that, would you like to plug it now on the show?
Yeah, for sure.
What do you?
Yeah. So yeah, we got old Snap products, man. We got the Snap Pack where you just put it in your mouth and the liquid comes directly in your mouth. We got energy. We got sleep. We have complete greens and veggies. And we also have one called Reverse, which is for anti-aging. Any of you, if you lack any of that, and if you lack energy, you lack sleep, definitely hit me up on IG, J Wells Media Group. And I can definitely get that to you, get that in your hands. But these products are definitely about to make big noise out here.
Yeah, so if you need help sharing your stuff, me and my team can do that for you. Share your products and our stories. Let me know, and I can let my team know that they can share it on their stuff too. So, but like I said, hopefully when you come back on the show, you get to meet the full team. But keep up the great work, man. This is truly an honor. Like I said, I'm honored that you reach out to us first to come on the show, and I'm hoping everybody hears your story. And thank you again.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right.